The Central Bank of Nigeria now has a new management team, as the Senate on Tuesday confirmed the appointment of Dr. Olayemi Cardoso as the substantive governor of the Apex Bank, along with 4 deputy governors of the bank. Their confirmation followed screening at the upper legislative chamber, where they talked about their academic and professional backgrounds. Dr. Cardoso and his deputies also spoke on how they intend to tackle Nigeria's macroeconomic challenges. We have details for you in today's package. That's after this message from the CBN.
Oh, I see. Just hold on in that case. Let me call out my PIN. It is 41...
Uncle, please stop.
Stop what?
You're giving someone else your personal identification number PIN?
Not someone else. It's from my bank.
Please hang up, Uncle. That's a fraudster.
That's not true. But they call out my full name. I am sure this is from my bank.
Uncle, no bank is ever going to call you to ask for your personal identification number PIN, your mobile banking password, or your card verification code, CVC.
But it sounded so genuine.
Yes, hackers and fraudsters always sound genuine. But please, Uncle, don't fall for their bait. Don't respond to any phony emails, text message, SMS, and don't click on any link you're not sure of. Even if they call your date of birth or your BVN, don't give them your security details. If you suspect any issue with your account, please go to your bank.
Oh, I see.
This message is from the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Senate President Godswill Akpabio on Tuesday announced the confirmation of Dr. Olayemi Cardoso as governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. The Senate also confirmed Mrs. Nana Usoro, Mr. Muhammad Sani Abdullahi Datijo, Mr. Philip Ikeazo, and Mr. Bala Bello as deputy governors of the Apex Bank. Prior to their confirmation, the CBN governor and his 4 deputies were screened by the upper legislative body, during which Dr. Cardoso presented his preliminary assessment of challenges facing the Apex Bank, as well as the issue of corporate governance. They answered questions bordering on downside slide of the naira, inflation, interest rate, among other macroeconomic concerns. The CBN governor and the 4 deputy governors had last Friday, 22nd September, assumed duty in acting capacities pending their confirmation by the Senate and sequel to the resignation of the former CBN governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, and the former resignation of Mr. Folashodun Shonubi, Mrs. Aisha Hamad, Mr. Edward Lamate Kadamu, and Dr. Kingsley Obiora as deputy governors of the bank. Dr. Cardoso and his deputies subscribed to the relevant oaths of office at a brief ceremony held at the CBN headquarters in Abuja last Friday, according to CBN Director of Corporate Communications, Dr. Issa Abdul Mumin, and had since settled down to the task of administering monetary and financial sector policies of the federal government. Now let's meet the new Central Bank of Nigeria's management team. Born on the 10th of July 1957, Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Dr. Olayemi Cardoso, is from Lagos State. An economic and development policy advisor, financial sector leader, former chairman Citibank Nigeria, and former commissioner for economic planning and budget, Lagos State. He brings over 3 decades of managerial experience in private, public, and not-for-profit sectors. He is an alumnus of the University of Austin, Birmingham, United Kingdom, where he read managerial and administrative studies, specializing in finance and accounting. He also holds a master's degree in public administration from the Harvard Kennedy School, United States of America. In 2017, he was awarded an honorary doctorate degree by his alma mater, Austin University, in recognition of his outstanding contributions to business and society. CBN Deputy Governor Mrs. Nana Usoro hails from Akwa Ibom State. A graduate of biochemistry from the University of Uyo, Akwa Ibom, she obtained a Master of Business Administration, MBA, from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State. An alumna of Harvard Business School, who has attended several international programs, including advanced management programs in strategic marketing management and authentic leadership, Harvard, corporate credit and financial modeling, Euromoney. She also attended the Lagos Business School. Mrs. Usoro is a seasoned banker with 2 decades of banking experience which cuts across various aspects of banking. She was an executive director at the United Bank for Africa (UBA) before her present appointment. CBN Deputy Governor Mr. Muhammad Sani Abdullahi Dattijo was born 26 October 1979 in Kaduna, Kaduna State. He obtained a bachelor's degree in economics from the Ahmadu Bello University, ABU Zaria, and Master of International Affairs and Diplomacy from the same institution. Subsequently, he completed a master's degree program in Development Economics and Policy at the University of Manchester, United Kingdom. Mr. Dattijo brings into his new role 2 decades of experience in development policy formulation, public finance and project implementation, cutting across public and private sectors, as well as international development. During his time at Ecobank Nigeria, he specialized in credit and risk management, which provided him with skills and experience in finance, risk assessment, and regulatory compliance. As a development economist, he served at the World Bank Expert Advisory Council and held the position of Policy Advisor at the Office of the United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon in New York, United States. CBN Deputy Governor Mr. Philip Ikeazo hails from Ubosi, Anambra State. He studied economics at the University of Birmingham, United Kingdom, majoring in accounting and financial management. Mr. Ikeazo has a diverse banking career of over 30 years, starting as a loan officer with the Nigerian American Merchant Bank, a subsidiary of Bank of Boston, United States, and rose to become the General Manager, Institutional Banking at Ecobank Nigeria, then Pioneer Managing Director, Ecobank, Kenya, and Group General Manager, United Bank for Africa (UBA), and subsequently Managing Director, Keystone Bank. In non-executive capacity, he has served on boards of banks in Uganda, Kenya, United Kingdom, and Nigeria. Mr. Ikeazo served for 6 years on the board of the World Bank-led International Crops Research Institute for Semi-Arid Tropics, ICRISAT, headquartered in India. CBN Deputy Governor Mr. Bala Mohammed Bello is from Kakara Mambila Plateau, Taraba State. Happily married with 7 children, he started his career with Guaranty Trust Bank and rose to become the Executive Director, Corporate Services at the Nigerian Export-Import Bank before his present appointment, bringing over 2 decades of cognate working experience in the financial services sector, the last 13 at executive level. Mr. Bello obtained a Bachelor of Science degree in accounting from the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, and an MBA from the same institution. He completed the High Potential Leadership Program, Harvard Business School, Bolton, Massachusetts, and the Executive Development Program at the Alton Business School, Philadelphia, both in the United States. He holds a certificate in Operations Leadership from the Richard Ivey School of Business, University of Western Ontario, Canada, as well as a Portfolio Management Certificate from the New York Institute of Finance, among other certificates obtained from various business schools across the world. Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Dr. Yemi Cardoso, in his preliminary remarks during the confirmation screening at the Upper Legislative Chamber on Tuesday, outlined challenges facing the Apex Bank, high-level proposals to address reformation challenges, as well as the roles of a refocused central bank in supporting the economic agenda of the President Bola Tinubu administration.
The President, in his inaugural address, conveyed the need to clean up the CBN and its monetary policies. What are the current challenges the Central Bank of Nigeria faces? They are numerous. In assessing these challenges, the Central Bank of Nigeria, primary questions are being raised on how these challenges may be addressed, and I think that is what we are all interested in. One, we identify the issue of corporate governance. And how will issues of corporate governance be addressed? We also identify the diminished institutional autonomy. How can public and financial system stakeholders' confidence be restored in the autonomy and integrity of CBN? Can the central bank look to adopting a worldwide code for institutional autonomy? We also look at the need to refocus CBN back to its core functions. What needs to be in place to revert to evidence-based monetary policies? Discontinuation of unorthodox monetary policies and foreign currency management. unorthodox use of ways and means spending. What controls can CBN develop to enforce statutory limits in ways and means? Of course, backlog of foreign exchange demand and how this can be met, and the lack of clarity in fiscal and monetary relationships. Where are the delineations and what should be the limits in CBN's fiscal interventions? Of course, very importantly, the issue of inflation and price stability, a major function of the central bank. What are the causes and what is CBN's proposed response to address inflation and price stability issues? We're also interested in access to foreign exchange markets and foreign exchange price discovery. What mechanisms exist to address foreign exchange rate unification under a willing buyer and seller arrangement? What would be the role of the central bank in the foreign exchange market going forward? Is there need for interest rate realignment to money supply, inflation, and market realities? Of course, very important to us, current financial system stability. Clearly, these problem statements need an in-depth review by us and the central bank leadership to determine which mechanisms are currently working, what can be tweaked or dispensed with, and what new tools need to be introduced. Important to all of us, of course, is the element of economic growth. Our feeling is that in identifying the important issues with economic growth, we believe very strongly that size matters. Size matters. The economic policy proposals of the administration identify a set of fiscal reforms and growth targets that will achieve a $1 trillion GDP within 8 years. These indices include moderate inflation, sizable foreign reserves, and capacity to quickly rebound from cyclical economic downturns. In other words, to the extent that the administration has defined such a bold target for the country, it is our feeling that achieving this is very critical to achieve the stability that we require in various economic indices. It's not the only thing, but it is very important. So we believe that this is the right way to go, and we endorse this. Advisory role of CBN. Much has been made of past CBN forays into development financing, such that the lines between monetary policy and fiscal intervention have become blurred. In refocusing CBN to its core mandate, there is need to pull the CBN back from direct development finance interventions into more limited advisory roles that support economic growth. These advisory roles facilitate new regulatory frameworks to unlock dormant capital, accelerate access to consumer credit, and expand financial inclusions to the masses.
Are you a fintech startup seeking visibility, brand building opportunities, and a concrete networking platform? Then this is for you. The 2023 International Financial Inclusion Conference (IFIC), hosted by the National Financial Inclusion Governance Committee, is happening on the 5th and 6th of October at Landmark Event Center in Victoria Island, Lagos. This year, IFIC is giving 25 fintech startups a free demo pod at its Startup Launchpad. A spot at the Launchpad gives selected startups the opportunity to exhibit innovative products and participate in the Startup Launchpad pitch. This opportunity is open to creative startups with technological proficiency and products that drive financial inclusion, literacy, and security. The Startup Launchpad will include sessions on fintech bridge and opportunities for startups, meeting with private equity and joint ventures capitalist investors, pitch presentation from the participants of the Startup Launchpad, and more. To apply for a demo pod or register to be live in the audience at the Fintech Bridge Arena to watch the pitches, kindly visit www.ificng.com. See you soon.
Thank you for staying tuned. This is from the CBN, a weekly program that brings to you reports and expert analysis of actions, policies, events, and economic initiatives of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. Still on last Tuesday's screening by the Senate, leading to the confirmation of CBN Governor Dr. Yemi Cardoso and his 4 deputies, Senate President Godswill Akpabio asked to know the view of the governor and his team on political involvement. There were other questions too from members of the upper legislative chamber.
So 2 questions. Will you allow politicians to drag you into politics and lose focus? Will you also respect the institution of the parliament, which has the overriding authority to oversight you and could recommend your sack to Mr. President? So please wrap up.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the governor has asked me to take a few of the questions before he wraps up. Thank you very much, distinguished senators, for the depth and detail of the questions that we've received. Many of the questions that have been asked today are also the questions that we have discussed in the early days of this appointment, and these are questions that we are also still, many of them, considering. So it is very clear, as His Excellency the President has said, that we will not have all the answers today. What I will just mention are very quickly 6 things, which I believe cover a few of the questions, and then if I miss any, I believe the governor or my colleagues will remind me. The first major issue that we have continued to discuss under the leadership of the governor is regarding the importance of returning the bank to its core mandate. And this is as dictated by the act setting up the Central Bank of Nigeria. So we have recognized that the bank has strayed significantly over the last few years, and there's a huge desire to return the bank to its core mandate as a central bank. The second, which I have here, which is also coincidentally what the President just finished mentioning, is the importance of depoliticizing the central bank. There has been significant amount of anecdotal information that has been shared here today. I will not go into it, but this is a core focus of the new team if confirmed. The third, as the governor has repeatedly said to us, is the importance of communication and feedback. Open and transparent communication, especially with this hallowed chamber and the National Assembly in its entirety. So, Mr. President and distinguished senators, if confirmed, what you will see from this team is significant amount of communication, feedback, and open and transparent relations between us and the entirety of Nigerians. The fifth, because I've added the National Assembly to the fourth, is the importance of evidence-based policies and the sanctity of data. Over the last couple of weeks, we have seen a lot of information come out regarding the operations of the central bank. Some of this information is correct, a lot of it is wrong. So it is very important that before we delve into talking about details, that we actually verify the data that we are going to be working with.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will try and quickly address some of the questions that have been raised that haven't been answered, and then those that we can't, like Mr. President has suggested, we have taken note and will respond accordingly. Yeah. As he has said, we've not really set our feet in the central bank, so we need to collect the data and know exactly. Now, one of them again, and I believe this was asked by Mr. President himself, and it was a question as to, one, whether I will allow myself to be hijacked by politicians, and two, whether the CBN under my watch will disobey orders to come and have a dialogue. Now, number one, with respect to the hijacking by politicians, I said something earlier, and I want to emphasize this. It is important that we who are being considered for these positions today understand that this is a position of trust. It's a position of great trust. And with that goes the huge responsibility to meet up to that trust. And I know that a lot of time and effort was gone into choosing the particular people who are standing here for nomination today. I know that. And as far as I am concerned, under my leadership, we will not be hijacked by anybody. The idea is to ensure that we do what is right, when it is right, and how it is right. We've seen what the effects of not doing things right have been, and Mr. President spoke about that earlier today. We've seen that, and we do not intend for that to be repeated. Another question that came out was the issue of the chairman of the central bank holding both roles of chairman and CEO together, and whether this was the appropriate thing to do or whether it should be reconsidered. Now, my perspective on that, quite frankly, is as follows. Number one, and again, please take it from somebody who has served on boards worldwide. Considerable boards over the years have had a tremendous amount of high-level corporate governance experience. I think that a lot depends on the people that are selected to come on boards. Very important. And we will ensure that we get the best people to join us on those boards. This should not be a mere academic exercise. We will look for the best people who can offer the right advice, who have the right qualifications, who can contribute selflessly, and who themselves can say no. So it's not even just a question of me saying no to others. It is everybody on that board being independent-minded enough to say it exactly as it is.
That's all from the CBN this week. Be careful not to fall for any fraudulent recruitment portal or loan scheme advertisement purportedly from the Central Bank of Nigeria. Get your information from trusted sources always. Report unresolved banking issues to the CBN Consumer Protection Department using the email cpd@cbn.gov.ng. Attach relevant documents. Call the CBN Contact Center on the phone line +234 700 2255 226. Local call rates may apply. Write to us through the email address from the cbn@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, which is now X, for updates and to watch uploaded episodes of the program. We invite you to join us again next time. I am Williamisi Dada. Stay safe. Bye for now.